One Piece is a series filled with diverse stories and settings, from a prison referencing Dante's Inferno, to a Disney paradise, to a land of traditional samurai. One Piece takes its characters on fantastical journeys to fight villains of unbelievable power, and to see the tragedy of the world up close and personal. When discussing this, people usually point to Arlong Park, or Water 7, or Dressrosa, but one arc I feel that is forgotten all too often is the Alabasta arc. I'm still relatively new to One Piece, but it has shocked me how little attention this arc gets compared to others. I love Alabasta, so I have decided to right this wrong by making this video. So strap in, folks, as I gush about Alabasta. Now, One Piece is no stranger to setting up future events and characters. In fact, I'd argue it's one of the strongest points of the series. It's such a treat to reread the series and notice little things that Oda put in place that only have meaning hundreds of chapters later. It gives the impression that One Piece is a living, breathing world, with events that occur outside the scope of the main story, but are important for the larger world. Many of the recent arcs in One Piece have that kind of setup, most notably Fishman Island and the current Wano arc. Alabasta does not have this kind of setup. Before we meet Vivi, Alabasta is never mentioned or referenced as far as I can tell. So what kind of setup does Alabasta have? It has emotional setup. Now Vivi's getting her own section of the video, but it basically boils down to this. Oda made Vivi a member of the Straw Hats long before they actually arrived at Alabasta. The arcs with Vivi are not very long, only composing of Reverse Mountain, Little Garden, and Drub Island, but those arcs give us plenty to work with. Vivi is treated as a crew member, and likewise, the readers view her as such. We become invested in her goal to free Alabasta from Crocodile and stop the war between the King's forces and the rebels. We go into Alabasta itself already invested in this conflict. We know very little about the rebels or Crocodile, but we want the fighting to stop because Vivi wants the fighting to stop. Emotional investment is important. I'm enjoying the Wano arc so far, but my biggest issue with it is that I'm not invested in any of the new characters. Alabasta doesn't have this problem. Additionally, Alabasta gives us a lot of time to breathe. We meet Vivi right away when the Straw Hats enter the Grand Line. We're given plenty of time to think about Alabasta and once again to get to know Vivi before actually getting to the island. This has started to become more common for big arcs, again, Wano, but I personally believe that Alabasta does it the best. It's very typical of shonen battle manga for the main villain of the arc to have some sort of crew or organization working under them. Big Mom has her own children and pirate crew, the Marines have CP9 and Ace Lobby, and Crocodile has Baroque Works. I love the Baroque Works agents. Oda went all out with creativity here. There are 26 members of the Baroque Works leadership, but it does not feel overwhelming for several reasons. Reason number 1. 2 of those agents are animals, and the other 2 are already dead before we even meet Vivi because Zoro killed them. Reason 2. Oda spaces out the agents. The Little Garden arc gives us an excellent taste of what's to come later in Alabasta by pitting the crew against a few of the agents. If the Straw Hats had had this much trouble with just a few of the agents, just how more terrifying will it be when they go against more? It's also because of the events at Little Garden that they run into Mr. Two Bon Clay. He deserves a video of his own one day, but what's brilliant about his introduction here is the perspective of the Straw Hats. They don't find out he's an agent until after he leaves, whereas the readers knew already. This is important because Mr. 2 isn't just another villain. We care more about him and his relationship with the crew, and it makes his sacrifice at the end of the arc all the more powerful, and it shows just what kind of effect the Straw Hats have on the people they encounter. Baroque Works really allows Oda to go all out with character designs and powers. They're the first major force the crew faces upon entering the Grand Line, and it's the first time Devil Fruits are a serious issue. Now it's not just the guy Luffy's fighting that has a Devil Fruit, but pretty much all of the agents have a Devil Fruit, making the battles much more dynamic. Quite a few of the fruits are wacky, like the Spike fruit, and looking back we can laugh about how weak a lot of these villains are in retrospect, but they're still intimidating, and because of the excellent teamwork between the agents and their ruthlessness, you can easily see how they came to be so feared. I want to touch on Robin for a minute. In this arc we're introduced to Nico Robin, Crocodile's second in command, who later joins the crew. Even though she's introduced in this arc, we know very little about her. We're given her Devil Fruit, and the fact that she's been wanted by the government for the past 20 years, and that's really it. The fact that she's an archaeologist is further explored in Skypiea, and it isn't until Enies Lobby that we see her tragic past. Maybe I'll do a whole video on Robin one day, but I do think it was an interesting move on Oda's part to have Robin, an antagonist, join the Straw Hats instead of Vivi, a character that is loved by both the crew and the readers. It was a risk, but considering how important Robin is to the world building and themes of One Piece, I think it was the right decision. Crocodile is the crown jewel of Baroque works. He differentiates himself from the other villains the crew has encountered. We're told he's a pirate, but he is very clearly a different kind of pirate than someone like Buggy. Crocodile is well dressed with a clear taste for the finer things in life. He has a powerful devil fruit, but he has schemed for years instead of just taking Alabasta by force. He is different from all the other bad guys Luffy would just beat up, even though Luffy defeats him by beating him up. Crocodile could care less about the lives of subordinates, and even Alabasta itself. He's not really after the kingdom, but the great weapon Pluton. Crocodile's devil fruit is terrifying. It's the first time Luffy has steal the Logia, Smoker doesn't count, and we finally actually get to see Luffy use some kind of strategy in defeating him, even if it's just using his own blood to get a hit on him. Crocodile was everything he needed to be for Alabasta, a schemer, a powerful fighter, and intimidating. He was loved by the people, and he used that love for his own gain and dark plans. When you stop and really think about it, it's uncomfortable how often that happens in our own world. I don't have much to say about the rebellion. Koza is an interesting character though. He's driven by his love for his country and his anger toward a seemingly selfish king. Koza sees bloodshed as the only resolution to Alabasta's issues. This is juxtaposed by Vivi, who believes that fighting is not the answer and will do anything to prevent it. It's not until Koza sees the real plot of Crocodile that he sees that fighting is unnecessary. However, infiltration on both sides by Baroque works leads to further misunderstanding and the fighting continues. It's absolutely heartbreaking to watch. The rebels are right to be angry about the state of Alabasta, but the conflict also shows that it is right to put faith in the leader of the country, because sometimes they're doing more than you can imagine to fix a problem. Vivi is the central figure of the Alabasta arc and is a crucial linchpin. If she didn't work, the whole arc would have fallen apart. The great thing is that Vivi does work. We're introduced to her right away as the Straw Hats enter the Grand Line, and we're given her goal and motivation almost immediately. She's the princess of Alabasta, and she wants to save her country from Crocodile and prevent war between the king's forces and the rebels. She's caring and passionate and will do anything to help her people. We see her the perfect ruler, a princess who will sacrifice her life to spare her subjects from suffering. Vivi is a welcome addition to the cast. As I mentioned previously, we're given plenty of time with her, so we get a real sense of her character and how she interacts with the crew. The crew is still really small at this point, so having another girl on the ship really brings a sense of balance. Vivi is an emotionally driven character, and it is perfect for Alabasta, an emotionally driven arc. Alabasta is so investing to read because as the reader, I care about Vivi and in turn Alabasta. Dressrosa is a great arc, but I was honestly not that invested in Rebecca's story. Sure, it's sad, but at that point, sad character backstories are a dime a dozen in One Piece. I was more invested in Law, a previously established character, and Doflamingo, the compelling villain. That's my biggest complaint with Wano too. The world building is nice, but I feel no emotional attachment to any of the new characters except for maybe Kinemon, but it's nowhere near as much as I care about Vivi. We're shown her struggles to free her country. We're shown her love for Alabasta and her connection with the rebels. We're shown a flashback on Drum Island that, from a young age, she's already carried herself as a diplomat and leader. We're not just told Vivi's strengths, we're shown them. I think the real icing on the cake here is Vivi's decision to stay in Alabasta instead of joining the crew at the end of the arc. Now, I knew ahead of time that Vivi wouldn't be joining the crew on my first read-through, and I was still blown away. The scene is touching and emotional. The X's on the arms of the crew as they raise their fists to the sky, not looking back, but still showing Vivi that they will always be in Nakama. It's a beautiful, poignant moment as Vivi returns the gesture, weeping, but never wavering in her decision. It gives me chills. It was right here that Vivi cemented herself as one of my favorite characters in the entire series. As a lover of shonen that I am, I love a good battle. But all the battle shonen series that I've experienced so far, I haven't really liked One Piece's battles as much as something like early Naruto or One Punch Man. It's not to say One Piece has bad battles, not at all in fact. I think One Piece has some really creative battles. It's just not the best of the genre in my opinion. One of the biggest issues with battles in One Piece is the pacing. All too often it cuts away from important battles that last far too long, and by the time we get to the main fight, I'm thoroughly confused. This is probably just a me thing though, so maybe that's why I like Alabasta's battles so much. They're given time to breathe without lengthy interruptions. Zoro versus Mr. 1, Sanjay versus Mr. 2 on Clay, and even Chopper and Usopp versus Mr. 4 and Miss Merry Christmas are given impact and meaning. I feel as if battles in later arcs such as Dressrosa and Whole Cake Island happen at the same time as many other important events. I feel impatient reading those battles and just want to move on to the next thing. I'm not invested in the fight itself, but in Alabasta, I am. The battles aren't particularly spectacular compared to later fights in the series, but it is interesting to note here that every member of the crew fights against a named and developed antagonist, something that has rarely happened since. The battles in Alabasta are simple, but I think it's their simplicity that appeals to me. World building is not enough to base a story off of. Stories are driven by plot and characters, and the setting itself is really just decoration. Great world building leads the audience to become more invested in your world, whereas poor world building might detract or have zero effect on how people view your story, depending on how well developed the plot and characters are. One Piece does boast a great plot and amazing characters, but it also has some of the best world building I've seen in any story. The plot of One Piece lends itself naturally to world building. Much of the world building in One Piece is subtle. Very subtle. People, places, and events are mentioned in passing, often with no extra emphasis placed on them, only to be brought up again with greater relevance hundreds of chapters later. The world building in the Alabasta arc is minimal, while also being shocking when you stop and think about it. The characters show off devil fruits with whacking and frightening abilities, and while it does expand the list of devil fruits, I wouldn't necessarily classify it as world building. No, the real deal in Alabasta is the reveal of poneglyphs. The fact that these stone blocks exist and detail forgotten history and the locations of world-devastating weapons is mind-blowing. It brings a new facet to One Piece. That this world isn't merely just one of pirates and marines, that there is a darker, hidden side to it. There are so many ways to discuss any arc of any manga. There's so much to consider with setting, new characters, plot, and other things. And at the end of the day, whatever you think about an arc or how you rank arcs in One Piece is all subjective. Not a lot of people talk about Alabasta, even when discussing early One Piece, and I think that's a shame. Alabasta has stuck with me, even as I've read through the rest of the series, and I was so excited to reread it on my current read-through. And I was not disappointed. I love Vivi, I love Crocodile, I love Robin, I love the bond between the Straw Hats. Alabasta seems so simple compared to Dressrosa or Wano, but I like that. I left a lot out of this script, like how Alabasta's Egyptian-inspired setting is so unique in the pirate manga, or the king's refusal to hurt his people, or Karu's boundless loyalty to Vivi. But at the end of the day, I love Alabasta. It inspired me to write this script and talk about one of my favorite One Piece arcs. I hope when you finish this video and revisit the arc yourself. Maybe you didn't like it or just thought it was okay. I implore you, give it another chance. A lot of people talk about how Arlong Park made them fall in love with One Piece, and while I do like that arc a lot and it encouraged me to keep reading the series, it was really Alabasta that made me fall in love with it. Thank you so much for watching. This video has been something I wanted to do for a while, and I took my time writing this script and trying to make sure that it was the best script I've written. I feel like it's more structured than my other scripts and more, how should I put this, better written, I guess? I don't know. I'm going to try to put more effort into my scripts so I can make them better. This channel has really been growing. Oh my goodness. We're almost at our goal for the year, 50 subscribers. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please be sure to give me a follow on Twitter, because I'll be doing polls asking you guys what videos you want made next, and then letting you give me updates about how my videos are going, and just if you just want to see just One Piece stuff, I retweet, because I retweet a lot of One Piece stuff. Thank you so much for everyone that subscribed to the channel recently and followed me on Twitter. You guys are awesome. So if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments below, what do you think about Alabasta? Do you like this arc? Do you dislike it? Do you like Vivi as a character? I feel like not a lot of people talk about her, but I really like her. I think she's really cool. And let me know if you want me to talk about any other One Piece arcs in the future, because I'm more than willing to do that as I keep rereading One Piece. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.